In early 1944, German infantry units advancing through the forests of the Eastern Front began to notice something deeply unsettling. There were no artillery barrages, no visible enemy lines, no advancing Soviet infantry. Yet men were falling, one after another. A soldier would step forward and collapse. An officer would raise binoculars and never lower them again. Snipers sent to hunt the shooter never returned. The Germans believed they were facing an elite Soviet marksman. They were, but they were wrong about one thing. The sniper hunting them was a 20-year-old woman. Her name was Roza Shanina, and before the war was over, she would become one of the deadliest snipers the Eastern Front had ever produced. By the time Roza Shanina entered combat, the Eastern Front had already devoured millions of lives. Villages were erased, forests were shredded by artillery, entire generations vanished into mass graves. This was not a war of maneuver, it was a war of annihilation. The German invasion of the Soviet Union had turned the Western USSR into a killing ground where survival depended on speed, silence, and accuracy. And it was here, amid snow, mud, and ruined farmland, that Roza Shanina would find her purpose. Roza Shanina was born in 1924 in a remote village in Arkhangelsk Oblast, northern Russia. Her childhood was defined by isolation, hardship, and discipline. She grew up in severe cold, in physical labor, in a culture that demanded endurance. There was nothing romantic about her early life. Education required long travel. Food was often scarce. Work began early. Yet Roza showed unusual determination. At just 14 years old, she walked hundreds of kilometers alone to attend school, refusing to abandon her education despite family opposition. That stubbornness, quiet, relentless, unyielding, would later define her as a soldier. In June 1941, Germany invaded the Soviet Union. Within months, casualty lists arrived in villages like Roza's. Brothers, friends, classmates. The war was no longer distant. It was personal. Roza lost family members at the front. Others vanished without explanation. At first, she worked as a kindergarten teacher, contributing to the war effort in civilian life. But that was not enough. She wanted the front. She wanted to fight. In 1943, the Soviet Union expanded its use of female combat snipers. This was not propaganda, it was necessity. Snipers required patience, precision, and psychological resilience, traits women were proving capable of in brutal numbers. Roza volunteered immediately. Her application was approved. She was sent to the Central Women's Sniper Training School, a place designed not to inspire, but to harden. Training was relentless. Recruits were taught advanced marksmanship, fieldcraft and camouflage, range estimation without instruments, silent movement through hostile terrain, target prioritization under pressure. They trained in freezing temperatures, mud and snow, sleep deprivation. Mistakes were punished. Hesitation meant death. Roza excelled. Her instructors noted exceptional accuracy, calm under stress, aggressive confidence in target engagement, but more importantly, she showed initiative. She did not wait for permission to improve. She practiced constantly. One skill made Roza Shanina infamous among her peers: the double shot. A technique requiring two rapid, precise shots against two different targets with minimal delay. It demanded perfect breathing control and flawless timing. Few could master it. Roza did. This ability would later define her battlefield reputation. By late 1943, Roza was assigned to a sniper unit attached to Soviet infantry formations advancing westward. This was no ceremonial deployment. She was sent directly into active combat zones. Her first days were spent observing enemy patrol routes, officer behavior, German sniper techniques. She did not fire immediately. She waited. Patience was survival. When Roza finally fired her rifle in combat, it was not impulsive, it was precise. A German soldier exposed himself briefly while moving through cover. One shot, one body, no second chance. There was no celebration, no reaction, just silence. The war had claimed her completely. Within weeks, her confirmed kill count began to rise. Unlike propaganda figures, Soviet sniper tallies required verification by witnesses or commanding officers. Roza's numbers were real. Her calm demeanor unsettled others. She did not boast. She did not exaggerate. She simply returned to position and waited again. Roza Shanina quickly developed a reputation, not just for accuracy, but for disobedience. Snipers were often ordered to remain behind infantry lines. Roza ignored this. She advanced with assault units. She wanted proximity. She wanted control. Officers reprimanded her repeatedly, but her results made discipline difficult to enforce. By the end of her first months at the front, Roza Shanina was no longer a trainee. She was a threat. German soldiers had begun to notice something wrong. Snipers sent forward did not return. Movements slowed. Fear spread quietly. They did not know her name, but they felt her presence. The forest had begun shooting back.
Roza Shanina did not arrive at the front as a legend. She arrived as a student. The training school had taught her how to shoot, how to hide, how to wait, but nothing could fully prepare her for what the battlefield demanded. Because real combat was not clean, it was not controlled, and it did not forgive mistakes. Roza's sniper unit was attached to infantry formations moving westward through contested territory. This was not static trench warfare. The front lines shifted constantly. Villages changed hands, forests became battlegrounds, roads were littered with wreckage and bodies. Her early missions were reconnaissance-heavy. She was ordered to observe enemy movement, identify officers and machine gun nests, report without firing unless absolutely necessary. This restraint was difficult. She had trained for precision. Now she was learning patience. Roza's first operational assignments involved long hours of immobility. She would crawl into position before dawn, settle into concealment, remain still for entire days. Cold stiffened her limbs. Insects crawled across her face. Snow soaked through her uniform. Movement meant death. During these early missions, she fired rarely, but she watched constantly. She learned how German soldiers behaved under pressure, how officers exposed themselves, how snipers scanned terrain. She studied their habits, and she waited for certainty. Her first confirmed kills came during a series of German patrol movements through lightly wooded terrain. A German non-commissioned officer paused to issue orders. Roza waited until he turned fully toward his men. One shot. The body fell forward. Panic followed. German soldiers scattered. Roza did not fire again. She relocated immediately. This was her greatest early lesson. Survival mattered more than numbers. Unlike many soldiers, Roza recorded her thoughts in a personal diary. In it, she did not describe exhilaration. She described clarity. She understood the finality of what she was doing, but she did not hesitate. The war had already taken too much. Her duty was not to feel. Her duty was to act. As her accuracy became evident, Roza was trusted with greater autonomy. She was allowed to select firing positions. She was paired with spotters less frequently. She operated more independently. Her confirmed kill count rose steadily. Each success brought new expectations. Commanders began to rely on her reports. Infantry units felt safer knowing she was nearby.
German units were not passive victims. They began using smoke screens, irregular movement patterns, decoys, counter-sniper patrols. Roza observed these changes carefully. She adapted. She fired less, but more decisively. One shot, one relocation, no wasted movement. Roza Shanina began pushing beyond her assigned role. Snipers were instructed to remain behind assault units. Roza moved forward with them. She believed proximity increased effectiveness. Officers reprimanded her. She accepted punishment without argument, and then she did it again, because it worked. During one early engagement, Roza encountered two German soldiers advancing together. She did not retreat. She did not wait. She executed her signature technique. 2 shots, 2 targets, seconds apart. Both fell. This moment marked a shift. She was no longer just accurate, she was dangerous. Within months, Roza Shanina's name spread quietly through Soviet units, not through propaganda, through word of mouth. Infantry soldiers spoke of officers dropping suddenly, enemy snipers disappearing, advances becoming easier. They did not always see her, but they felt her presence. With success came exhaustion. Roza spent weeks without rest. Her hands cracked from cold. Her body ached constantly. Sleep came in fragments. Yet she refused rotation away from the front. She believed her place was forward. By the end of this phase of her service, Roza Shanina was no longer learning how to be a sniper. She was becoming one. Her confirmed kills climbed steadily. Her confidence hardened. Her willingness to defy orders increased. And somewhere across the battlefield, German units were beginning to realize something was wrong. Their snipers were vanishing, their officers were dying, and the forest no longer felt empty.
By the spring of 1944, Roza Shanina had transformed from a promising rookie into one of the deadliest snipers on the Eastern Front. Her first months of combat had taught her the basic rhythm of war: wait, observe, fire, survive. Now she would escalate her operations. Where once she fired cautiously, she now targeted high-value personnel, officers, machine gun crews, and German snipers who threatened her fellow soldiers. Each shot was calculated, not for show, but for maximum impact. Word of her skill spread quickly through Soviet lines. Commanders began requesting her presence at the most contested sectors. Infantry units knew that when Roza was nearby, enemy resistance diminished. German troops, however, remained unaware of her identity. They only felt her effect. She moved constantly, rarely remaining in the same position for more than a day. Roza understood that remaining stationary too long invited death. The forests of Belarus and the western USSR became her domain. Trees, snowdrifts, and ravines were both cover and weapon. Her sniper rifle, a Mosin-Nagant 7.62 mm, became an extension of herself. She memorized its recoil, its sound, and the way wind affected its trajectory. Every shot counted. Every shot killed. Early in this period, Roza observed a German officer directing troops across an open field. Without hesitation, she fired. The officer fell instantly. The effect was immediate. German soldiers paused, confused and hesitant to move. Their orders slowed. Their formations broke. Next, she eliminated a machine gun crew positioned to sweep advancing Soviet infantry. One by one, her bullets silenced their guns. Her unit advanced with far less risk. For every strike, she relocated. She understood that predictability was death.
The German army, noticing the rising casualties, deployed snipers to hunt her. Roza anticipated them. She set traps, using decoys and false trails. She would wait in concealed positions, often for hours, listening for the slightest movement. In one engagement, Roza faced a German sniper who had already killed multiple Soviet soldiers. The duel lasted nearly an entire morning. Both snipers were silent, invisible, patient. Roza's advantage lay in observation. She noted subtle movements, rifle glint, footprints, rustling leaves. Then she fired, ending the threat instantly. This was not luck, this was skill perfected under fire. Her signature technique, first glimpsed in Section 2, now became lethal in practice. Roza often faced multiple targets in quick succession: officers, machine gunners, and soldiers coordinating artillery. 2 shots, 3 shots, rapid, precise, devastating. Her fellow soldiers called it the forest strikes back. They no longer feared frontal assaults as much, knowing she was covering their advance. Enemy morale, however, plummeted. Roza's missions were not purely defensive. Sometimes she advanced with infantry into urban combat zones. During house-to-house clearing operations, she moved ahead of units, targeting high-value German soldiers from concealed positions. Each engagement carried extreme risk. One mistake, one miscalculated step meant death. Yet Roza accepted it without hesitation. She believed in precision over caution, results over survival.
By mid-1944, the Germans understood that an elite sniper was operating in specific sectors. They increased patrols, set traps, and planted decoys to lure her into firing. But Roza adapted. She moved night and day, altering her routes, scouting new positions, and even changing rifle configurations to avoid detection. She survived where others would have perished. Each encounter sharpened her instinct, each narrow escape reinforcing her reputation. By the height of her operations, Roza Shanina had achieved 59 confirmed kills. Each one had a purpose: halting German advances, preventing ambushes, neutralizing snipers, or disrupting command. Her impact was not just measured in numbers. Soviet infantry units operated with more confidence, German units hesitated under pressure, and officers began issuing orders with paranoia. The forest itself seemed alive. Troops whispered that it hunted the enemy now. That was Roza Shanina. Her presence alone affected German operations. Officers refused to appear on open ground. Patrols moved unpredictably. Snipers were hesitant, leaving exposed positions unguarded. This psychological advantage saved countless Soviet lives. Roza's battlefield effect went beyond bullet counts. Roza's rise did not come without cost. She endured constant cold and exhaustion, physical pain from long hours in the field, emotional strain from witnessing death daily. Yet she never faltered. Her diary entries reflected clarity and resolve, not emotion. For Roza, the mission always outweighed the personal toll. By late 1944, rumors of a female sniper circulated in German units. Soldiers described a calm, almost invisible figure who killed with precision and vanished. Her real identity remained unknown to them. They only knew the effect: patrolling units reduced in number, officers killed with chilling consistency, German morale eroding. To Soviet forces, she became more than a sniper. She became a force multiplier, a symbol of precision and courage in the worst possible conditions. Roza Shanina's reputation reached a turning point. She had mastered camouflage and concealment, tactical relocation, target prioritization under extreme stress, counter-sniper tactics, psychological impact on the enemy.
German snipers now feared entering sectors where she had operated. Officers hesitated to expose themselves. Troops whispered about the girl in the forest who could end their lives without warning. The sniper was no longer just Roza Shanina. She was a legend in the making, a nightmare for the German army, and a beacon of deadly skill for Soviet troops. Her most iconic and brutal missions, the operations that would cement her name in history, remain to be told in the next section.
In June and July 1944, Soviet forces launched a series of offensives aimed at reclaiming Belarus and pushing German forces westward. Roza's unit was assigned to frontline support, targeting key enemy personnel and positions. Unlike early missions, she no longer waited for opportunity, she created it. She stalked German officers coordinating artillery, machine gun crews threatening advancing infantry, snipers who had already earned reputations for killing Soviet soldiers. Every action was precise, every shot counted. Roza began to infiltrate enemy-held villages and outposts to gather intelligence and eliminate high-value targets. Her methods were audacious, crawling across open fields under enemy observation, camouflaging herself in ruined buildings, using shadows, terrain, and decoys to remain invisible. German patrols could not predict her movements. She struck from directions they considered safe. Once, during a reconnaissance mission near a German encampment, she identified a sniper nest threatening her comrades. She repositioned, waited, and eliminated the entire nest in a matter of minutes. Her presence alone forced the Germans to divert resources, slow their movements, and rethink patrol patterns. German forces, recognizing the threat, sent elite snipers specifically to hunt her. These encounters were rare and terrifying. Roza had no backup and often faced enemies trained explicitly to counter Soviet snipers. In one notable engagement, a German sniper had killed 3 Soviet soldiers. Roza identified him from hundreds of meters, tracking subtle movements, watching the glint of his rifle. When he fired at her comrades again, she fired 2 rapid shots, one hitting the sniper's rifle stock and the second ending his life. The duel lasted hours, measured in small adjustments, patience, and near-perfect timing. By the end, German forces had lost one of their most skilled marksmen, and Roza had learned a vital lesson. Patience and observation were just as lethal as bullets. By now, Roza was executing complex missions with multiple simultaneous targets. She often faced small enemy groups, officers issuing orders, and machine gun teams in the same line of sight. She mastered target prioritization under pressure, rapid acquisition of multiple targets, movement between firing positions without detection. Her technique of double and triple shots became standard procedure for maximizing efficiency. One engagement in late June became legendary among her unit. A small German patrol advanced through a clearing. Roza eliminated the officer first, silenced the machine gun, and then neutralized a sniper hiding in a ruined building, all without revealing her position. Her unit advanced safely, and the Germans never understood what had hit them. Word of a female sniper began spreading among German troops. Soldiers whispered about a ghostly figure, always in the trees, always precise, and always gone before anyone could return fire. She became a psychological weapon. Officers hesitated, patrols slowed, entire units lost morale because of unseen shots. Roza's effectiveness was now as much about fear as skill. Her presence altered enemy behavior, which allowed Soviet forces to seize territory with reduced casualties. The German army adapted with counter-sniper measures, including frequent movement of troops, decoy positions, observation of known Soviet sniper locations, but Roza adapted faster. She learned to read the terrain, anticipate patrol patterns, and utilize every shadow, tree, and ridge.
During one mission, she infiltrated a ridge known for sniper ambushes. German soldiers waited, expecting her. Instead, she waited longer, concealed herself behind a natural depression, and picked off 2 German snipers in under a minute. Her survival depended not only on marksmanship, but also on intuition and a profound understanding of human behavior. By late 1944, Roza Shanina had 59 confirmed kills, making her one of the deadliest female snipers in history. Each kill was verified by commanding officers, not propaganda. They were soldiers, officers, and snipers who might otherwise have inflicted heavy casualties on her comrades. Her kills were precise, efficient, and strategically impactful. Officers directing artillery were eliminated. Machine gun crews threatening infantry were neutralized. Enemy snipers were hunted down. Every engagement increased her unit's operational effectiveness. Soviet forces advanced faster, with fewer casualties, due in no small part to her presence. Roza did not stop to celebrate. Victory was measured by results. She constantly improved, testing new camouflage techniques, practicing rapid relocation under fire, training junior snipers assigned to her unit. Her discipline inspired others. Fellow soldiers often described her as calm, precise, and almost inhumanly composed in the face of chaos. German officers eventually issued warnings to avoid open terrain, move unpredictably, and treat every forested area as a threat. They never knew her face. They never captured her. All they knew was the effect: a silent hunter who could appear anywhere, kill efficiently, and vanish without trace. Her impact extended beyond individual kills. Entire sectors were more manageable for Soviet troops simply because Roza operated there. Roza Shanina's rise had reached its apex. She was feared by German forces, trusted implicitly by Soviet command, a psychological and tactical asset far beyond her age. The forest had become her hunting ground, and the Germans had learned to dread it. She had proven that skill, patience, and determination could outmatch brute force, that one highly trained individual could influence entire operations, and that courage was not measured by size or age, but by focus, precision, and audacity. Her most iconic moments, the kills, the duels, the decisive strikes, were not just numbers on paper. They were the turning points in multiple battles, moments that would cement her place in history. The final section will explore her last operations, death in action, posthumous recognition, and her lasting legacy. By late 1944, Roza Shanina had become a name whispered across the Eastern Front. Not as propaganda, not as legend, but as reality. German officers feared her. Soviet commanders relied on her. And yet, the young sniper, just 20 years old, knew the ultimate danger had not passed. She had survived countless missions, evaded enemy snipers, and struck fear into entire enemy units. But war, as she had learned, spared no one. In January 1945, Soviet forces prepared for the East Prussian Offensive, a decisive operation aimed at breaking German resistance in northern Poland. Roza Shanina was assigned to support infantry advances in the forests near Allenstein, today Olsztyn. The terrain was treacherous: dense woods, frozen rivers, and enemy fortifications. Her objectives were clear: eliminate high-value officers directing fire, hunt German snipers threatening Soviet artillery, support infantry advances through dangerous zones. Unlike prior operations, this mission carried higher stakes than ever before. German resistance had stiffened. The front lines were littered with Soviet casualties from previous attempts. Roza advanced alongside infantry units, positioning herself near a ridge overlooking German defensive positions.
She engaged multiple targets in rapid succession, 2 officers directing machine gun fire, a trio of soldiers manning mortars, a sniper attempting to flank her unit. Her movements were precise, calculated, and deadly. By midday, the advance had succeeded with minimal Soviet casualties, largely because German units had been neutralized before they could coordinate a counterattack. Her comrades recognized that without Roza's intervention, the advance would have stalled, costing hundreds of lives. On January 28, 1945, Roza Shanina was ordered to a forward reconnaissance and sniper position near Osterode, now Ostroda, Poland. The terrain was exposed, snow offered no concealment, and German forces intensified patrols. While observing a command post, she took aim at an officer directing troops across open ground. She fired successfully, but at that moment, a German sniper returned fire. Roza was hit by a single bullet to the head. Her diary, later recovered, reflected her resolve. "I am afraid not of death, but of leaving my comrades unprotected." She died instantly. At just 20 years old, the girl who had terrified entire German sectors, who had saved countless Soviet lives, was gone. Her death was a blow to her unit, but her earlier contributions had already shaped the battlefield. German officers feared approaching open ground. Enemy snipers hesitated to expose themselves. Soviet infantry gained confidence, advancing faster with fewer losses. Her legacy was immediate and measurable. Even in death, she remained a tactical asset. The psychological effects she had instilled persisted among both Soviet and German forces. Roza Shanina's heroism was officially recognized after the war. She was posthumously awarded Order of Glory, First Class, Order of the Patriotic War, First Class. These awards reflected her extraordinary courage, skill, and contribution to the Soviet war effort. Her diary and personal accounts, published years later, revealed the discipline, bravery, and humanity behind her combat record. Unlike many celebrated soldiers, she did not seek glory. She sought results. She sought survival of her comrades. She sought precision. Roza Shanina's confirmed kill count of 59 represents only part of her impact. Her real legacy lies in training and inspiring younger snipers, changing battlefield tactics with precision strikes, demonstrating that a single highly skilled individual could shift the morale and effectiveness of entire units. Historians today recognize her as one of the most effective female snipers in history, a tactical innovator, a symbol of resilience, courage, and lethal precision. Her story endures not only in statistics, but in the lessons she left for modern military strategy, patience, observation, and the ability to strike decisively. Roza was not a myth. She was young, vulnerable, and aware of danger. Diaries describe moments of fear, doubt, and longing for home. Yet she chose the front lines repeatedly. She endured extreme cold, hunger, and fatigue, witnessing the deaths of comrades, and she continued her mission, understanding that effectiveness required sacrifice. Her heroism was quiet, methodical, and terrifyingly effective. To German soldiers, she was the unseen hunter. To Soviet troops, she was a guardian and a teacher. The forests where she fought still echo her presence in historical memory. Every patrol halted before it reached open ground. Every advance measured against the possibility of unseen precision. Every surviving infantryman owed their life to her vigilance. She demonstrated that courage, intelligence, and relentless determination could achieve far more than sheer numbers. Roza Shanina's life was short, but her impact was immense. She changed the course of battles through skill and precision. She inspired both comrades and successors in sniper warfare. She redefined the role of women in frontline combat.
She did not survive to see victory in Europe, yet her story endures, reminding the world that true bravery is not measured in years, but in courage under fire. Even today, military historians, strategists, and enthusiasts study her missions. Her name remains synonymous with lethal precision, fearlessness, and extraordinary tactical skill. For the young girl from Arkhangelsk, the forests of Eastern Europe became her domain, and she ruled them with silent, deadly efficiency until the very end.